The University of Science and Arts of Oklahoma is a small public liberal arts college that offers unique opportunities for learning. One of these is independent study, a 5-week summer session when students and faculty work together on a single scholarly creative idea. This video is the story of USAO's independent study and the learning that takes place when curious minds collaborate.
The relationships I made there, the friendships I made, not only with my group that went, but with the locals, with the tour guide. It's something that really kind of transformed how I view the world and how I learn to approach people in different cultures and how I approach my future career, the rest of my life in a way. Learning how to maneuver yourself in a different country is something that kind of defines you and helps you to know more about yourself than you ever suspected before.
It just seemed that we were all in the same class, and all of a sudden it just clicked that we had the same idea. And being able to go from seeing cars go down runways and water and dominoes, everything that everybody did. I mean, I agree. I'm a history major. There's others who are art majors. You'd think physics majors, like some of them, they would have been big on this one because they can speak the same language as some art majors. I figured out a lot of the lingo because it's history majors, we adapt. That's what we do.
I think they started to connect once they saw everything laid out on the table. They started to watch each other try and set this thing into motion, and their responses were just every day you just saw all of a sudden somebody have an aha moment.
I've not worked in a lot of groups where everyone came together, really pulled their own weight, and then successfully made it something that people wanted to watch and wanted to be there experiencing with us.
So for a class like this, I think what they get out of it is that they see it as collaborative, and because you have so much audience participation built in, they sort of co-author along with an audience as well, and having to focus on that performance aspect and not just this kind of ripping out my emotions and throwing them on a page kind of poetic composition, I think really changes the whole experience. And so not only do I have them compose and workshop and work on performance, but they also administer the poetry slam, and so they have to learn how to put an event together and make sure that the audience participates in the way that they want them to.
One of my favorite parts of the trip was probably the last day. Our packs were about 50 to 60 pounds, and it was just weighing down on my shoulders, and it was painful. And at some point I just had to stop, and everyone took part of the weight from my pack, and it was just a team effort. And for me, that was like, you don't have to do everything by yourself. There are people that are there to help you and to help carry some of the weight that you carry as well.
In 2014, one project was created to tell the story of independent study. 13 students, led by video specialist David Duncan and professor of communication J.C. Casey, set out to shoot all of the other projects. They knew every story intimately because they shot everything. They were there from day one. Student videographers and production assistants got up as early as 4 in the morning to load equipment into a van and head to northeast Oklahoma, a 3-hour road trip where they shot some of Oklahoma's most iconic beauty spots, Osage Hills State Park and the Woolaroc Museum and Wildlife Preserve, as 11 USAO students and Dr. Nancy Osborne spent a day exploring. The documentary crew got home at 11 that night and got up again the next morning to shoot that day's projects. By far the most physically challenging project in 2014 was the backpacking trip to the Ozark Highlands Trail in Arkansas, 4 hours from USAO. 14 students from 10 different majors, led by 2 scientists and a historian, planned and practiced for a week-long hiking and camping trip that would cover 7 days and 6 nights. Although some students did not complete the grueling ordeal in the Ozarks, virtually all of them, as well as the faculty leaders, said the experience taught them invaluable lessons about themselves. The most emotional project was the Oklahoma Special Olympics, held every year in May. USAO students have been volunteering for more than a decade, and 2014 was no exception. This was by far the largest project. 28 students enrolled, with another 13 students on the documentary crew. USAO students were everywhere, and they all had stories of the heart to tell.
There was this one little girl that I led up here, and she got 5th place, and she was so excited about getting 5th place, and she didn't want me to leave her side, and she told me that she loved me, and she wanted me to lead her all the way up there. So it was amazing.
Perhaps the most complex proposal, and certainly the most interdisciplinary, was the Kinetics project led by 2 assistant professors of art, Lane Thrift and Jordan Vineyard. Modeled after the popular Rube Goldberg machines, Kinetics drew 16 students from 8 majors. Working in teams of 3 and 4, they designed and created an elaborate construction of 74 individual movements that traveled through 2 buildings and across 2 outside spaces, climaxing with the release of 22 white pigeons. And as the pigeons took flight, students and faculty alike were reminded that USAO is indeed a college for the curious mind.